tuned in to Rip Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing. Okay, it means the thing that I'm most upset about today. If you're watching it on the replay, I'm about to ruin it for you. The U.S. lost to Britain in curling. And it's bullshit that they get to be called Britain because they're all Scots.
Oh, well, look. Wow.
Because it's curling.
Yeah.
Right? So in the Worlds, they play for Team Scotland. And England gets its own team.
Yeah.
But then for the Olympics, they get to play for GB. And they've got the best front end in curling right now. Those guys can sweep a rock like 10 extra feet. It's unbelievable.
It's United Kingdom.
Yeah, I hate them. We've won several wars against them, so that's fine. They can have this one, I guess.
I care less.
Up the colonies.
Oh, God.
All right, well, you're American now, so it's fine.
I am both.
No more pink money for you.
No. Depends on
Some
what
pink money.
It depends on what the exchange rate is.
Oh, that's right.
I just all depends.
All right, well, hi, I'm Chip. Who are you?
I'm Tez. What's up? Welcome to Chip Chat. The most awkward start we've had in some time.
I don't know about that. It's pretty much always pretty awkward. It's not a very good show. I don't think anybody should listen to it. Okay. Also, Philly just got a goal against the Caps in a game that has turned into more of a fight than a game.
Yeah, so I was going to say this is a
I'm
brouhaha.
mad. I hate Philly anyway, as a city, as a people, as a location. Not to mention their teams.
When my identity was tied into certain sports teams.
The what the fucks?
Yeah, and
yeah.
And again, when baseball starts, I usually get a little out of hand,
Which may be happening, right? You might get a DH.
Oh, I might. I think that's done.
I think that's a done deal. Ohtani fixed that.
Yeah, that's a done
deal. They
deal.
saw Ohtani. They were like, "Wait, you mean Brian's mad?" Listen. As soon as the NL saw the value of the DH in terms of getting a pitcher so you can make him hit more often, they're like, "Oh, maybe there's something to this."
Yeah. So, again, I like the folks of Philadelphia. And I like the folks of Chicago. I don't know. I get along with those folks. And I get along with folks from New Jersey, too. And I'm starting to see Boston as well. And I see a pattern that I'm a little ashamed of.
Yeah, you should be. Don't worry. I will continue to hate people from all of those places.
I just get along with them everywhere. Any job I've worked at, any random bar, those folks.
Well, it depends because so if I'm in a room with people from Philly,
right?
Okay, we can both agree that Dallas sucks.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
Right, we have common enemy of my enemy, so to speak, whatever, right? So if I'm in a room with people from New York, Philly sucks. Dallas sucks. We have those things. And everybody hates Boston. I mean, really. I don't have anything I like that comes from Boston. I can't think of anything. I'm my cousins, I suppose.
I was going to say,
I have a whole bunch of family up there.
I was going to say, hold on, no family?
Whatever. They don't listen to this show.
I like Ed O.G. He's from Boston. Shout out to Ed O.G.
Yeah, and I like Matty.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He sounds like the union boss that he is. That's Secretary of Labor, Matty, to you. Okay. Anyway, we got a packed show. I think. I don't know. I don't even know.
It could expand or it could shrink. The
J6 committee's been listening to this show because now that they learned that the Fox News people talk to all the rioters, now they're listening to everybody in case we talk to the rioters too.
No, they haven't. Maybe that's our new. Maybe we need to go find some rioters.
We know where all of them are. They're in jail. That guy Rhodes was like, "Hey, let me out, and I'll come back for my court hearing." They're like, "You have storage units full of guns all over this country." Absolutely not. We know you're not going to come back, you one-eyed maniac.
Yeah, I was going to ask. That's the guy I met with the patch.
Yeah, so all they got to do is close the doors on that side, and then you can't see.
No.
If him and Crenshaw team up together, they can see in stereo.
Oh, good.
What? They're bad people. It's okay.
That's how we get around. I don't know if the ADA would be happy with that, but
who cares?
I know they're not listening.
The deaf ones can't hear this show.
Christ.
What?
Oh my God. What is he taking out the... Yo.
All right, fine. Whatever.
All right, okay.
So we got a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
Okay, none of it's good.
No.
I'm the worst. I'm sorry. Also, if you're watching on the video and you're wondering why I'm dressed like a backgammon game, it just sort of happened by accident. I threw on a shirt and this was the hat on the top of the pile.
Yo.
So this is what I have.
Is very... yes.
I'm an old Cuban man, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what I look like.
You do?
Yeah, I know. I'm a 73-year-old Cuban man.
Hey, no.
Got the beard and everything.
You just
right.
can't see it. I'm just actually...
I remember when I was fighting Castro. Yeah,
you
right.
could be, what's the name? Poppy Lebitard.
Right. Christ.
All
right.
We'll leave it there.
So you got your word?
I do.
Okay, I've got my word.
Okay.
So sit back, grab some
factoids.
It's backgammon time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
Sweeps.
Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
And then they go who?
We're going to play you that clip later. Send it to Brian.
Right, I'll send it to Brian.
We'll play it on a loop during the break. Right next to the Alex Jones song.
Right. I don't know if that's the heat we want.
Who's gonna notice?
That someone did. That was hilarious.
That was pretty impressive.
That's pretty.
Okay, here's what he's talking about. A listener sent us our own clip, a clip of our own show. Actually, a clip that Brian clipped out of our show that we posted, where we were making fun of, I don't know, some Republican senator.
Yeah, and we were talking about
sending an email.
Yes.
And I said something like he didn't know who to send it to, so he was like, Google, and like that.
Yes.
But the astute listener noticed that it sounded like I said something else.
And then they go, who?
Right, that's what it sounded like.
Well, that's what you said. No, but he didn't say that. But
we couldn't. I couldn't hear it until you played it for me.
It was like a couple times over.
But
we're gonna be like, it was the damn hop slams. First of all,
shout out to Bells.
You know what it did?
Can we get a sponsorship?
But you know what the hop slam did? I just got it.
It caused the hop slam.
Well, it added the slur.
That's it. Oh. High ABV. It'll add the slur. It also helps us lean a little to the left.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
Where anybody can use it.
That's
I'm just joking. I'm just all right. Anyways, moving on.
Sounds like socialism.
It does.
Okay, so there was this sports ball competition over the weekend, last weekend, that you were reading while it was going on.
I was. Okay, look, all right. The Super Bowl was on in my house.
Yeah.
It was on, and it
was an exciting game.
It was, yes, it was an exciting game.
And Detroit's finest, Matty Stafford, won the game. And proving that, in fact, yet again, the problem is Detroit, not
even though Stafford. I saw Detroit fans, I think, wasn't there merchandise that said the Detroit Rams or something like that?
I was rooting for Stafford on account of my Michigan affiliation. That's how that's the way that it worked for me. Also, I couldn't root for Burrow.
You know what? I was in with the game, and Odell was doing well, and I was really excited. And that injury just did that. That
was sad for everybody.
That upset me, and because the injuries.
But he got a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and he won.
And then went down with the injury.
It proves that Baker's the problem in Cleveland. It proves that Gritty is attacking Capitals fans.
Okay,
I feel kind of two ways about Gritty though.
Okay.
Because, Gritty's the Flyers and I don't like them. But he's
not.
also somehow the symbol of the radical left. Because he's chaos.
Yeah.
And he hates Trump for stealing his hairdo. It's true. Okay.
Speaking of him.
Anyway, during that game, we saw an ad that told us that Law and Order is back.
That's good.
Like with Sam Waterston and Anthony Anderson, like a lot of the old cast.
Yes, you know what? I did see that.
And they're all back and like old school real Dick Wolf Law and Order. It's great. Because I've been watching Sam Waterston be a gay lawyer for a while on Grace and Frankie, or Frankie, whatever it is, which is a fantastic show. I highly recommend it. Very funny. So I was like, you know what? We need a Law and Order segment.
Okay, I like that.
In honor of this show that's been on for 67 years. As far as I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
the first Law and Order episode was in black and white. Okay.
It's on radio.
Yes. It's called Dragnet.
It was. It's a Dragnet. They love the fucking police, man.
Listen.
The police. Anyway,
for the first 15 years I was in therapy, that was my biggest problem, was that like Law and Order is so pro-police, it's out of control.
Yes.
And I was like, this needs to get off television. My therapist was like, maybe we should focus on you.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, we're going to focus on this.
On Law and Order.
Yeah. Hate that show. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Law and Order. Let's talk about New York City in particular. There's this guy who's from New York. What's his name? With the weird hair.
Oh, there he is.
And he likes the underage girls and the whatever. He thought he was president. Maybe he thinks he's still president.
45.
Fart-a-Lago. That guy, he's in trouble. Actually, there was breaking news on this today. Yes. Okay, so Tish James is the Attorney General in New York. She is busy putting the screws to Trump in about 100 different ways. And she's got this lawsuit going on.
Even put on hold her like political aspirations, right?
She literally skipped a governor run, which she was like gonna win by a mile, to finish this job.
Right.
Finish him. Yeah. So she's suing Trump for there you go, for all kinds of stuff, and she's in the civil litigation about his fraud, essentially bank fraud,
right? Which
he committed in spades.
Yeah,
he lied about everything. He inflated the value of his properties when he was going to get a loan. He lied about the value of the properties and deflated the value when he was filling out his taxes. The two things don't match, and
did it for years.
And public record and obvious, and everybody knows it. So he's dead to right on this. So she filed this thing with his accounting firm, Mazars, and was like, "Hey, here's all this stuff that doesn't match up, and your name's on it. We're going to call you in, and we want to talk to you about that. Do you have anything to say?" And they're like,
yes.
As a matter of fact, we do. What did they say?
They said, all right. In the shorthand, they were like, look, we dealt with him. We're no longer going to deal with him.
That was point one.
Right. And they were really crafty with the words. I think I wrote it down. I think one of the quotes that came out there was, while we have not concluded that the various financial statements as a whole contain material discrepancies based upon the totality of the circumstance, we believe our advice to you to no longer rely upon those financial statements as appropriate, which is word salad for like, yo,
all that shit we filed on this guy's behalf is bogus.
Yeah.
And you can't use it. Don't rely on it. It can't be true. And
they haven't concluded yet, though, that as a whole.
We have no confidence in it.
Right. But, yeah, please, don't. When you start looking and you find stuff, expect to find stuff.
Right. And for 10 years worth of filings. And it could be even longer. But that's what they have in the scope. And then today, they were pushing for they need to depose
the kids, right?
Trump.
Yeah, Trump
Jr. and Ivanka, because their names are all over these financial disclosure statements where they are claiming that they have X number of dollars or X number of value or whatever, but also claiming the opposite of that on their taxes. So, like, they filed this thing. They went to court. The Trump people fought it. They said, well, we're not going to testify. We don't want to do the deposition. We're not going to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, the court ruled today that they have 14 days to comply, with the deposition order. Which sets up this really interesting question.
I know, because I'm like, in 14 days, they're going to flout this, right? There's no way they go.
They're just going to not go.
They're not going to go. And then what happens? They're going to send somebody to get them?
That's the thing. They're going to dare them. They are. There's no way that they go. There's no way that Dan Snyder walks in anywhere voluntarily to like get the post. There's no way that. But there's a difference here is that Trump has a security detail paid for by you and me.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we have this question. This is the same question that we've had through the entirety of the Trump administration. The court order says you must do this. And he goes, no. And then they're going to be like, well, we're going to send the marshals to arrest you. And he's like, I got Secret Service. What are they going to do? The marshals are going to come in with the guns out and go, give us the guy.
Hold on.
Here's and the Secret Service is going to be like, fuck, we are.
But the Secret Service falls under the executive branch, right?
Yeah, they're Treasury.
Okay.
They belong to Treasury. No, actually, I take that back. They rolled Secret Service into DHS.
Okay.
So that is executive branch. Okay. I mean, Treasury's executive branch anyway. Fair. So it's all executive branch.
It's executive branch, right? There's only, to me, one leader of the executive branch.
As far as we know.
And maybe then we have to take this stuff to court because, again, we've never dealt with anything like this.
We don't have a model for this.
There's no model for this.
Because in the United States, in every other instance, when you lose in court, you go, okay, you got me. You take your L. But Trump has learned that there is no enforcement mechanism for that. You take your L. You don't take your L.
I just thought we couldn't do it to
go ahead and come and get me.
I thought you just couldn't do it to a sitting president. He's not sitting in. He's probably sitting.
It's not a question of sitting
I'm sure
anything.
He's sitting down, but he's not sitting as the goddamn president anymore.
Well, he can't lift the bucket of chicken. But like, if you, the thing is that like, when the judge orders me to pay a parking ticket,
right? Okay, yeah,
I pay the ticket.
Imagine you just said no. I know what happens.
I have.
Yeah, and you know what happens?
They go, would you like to go to jail? And I go, no.
Sometimes they double the fine.
They did that to me one time.
Do that, yeah.
They did that to me because I mouthed off to him about how velocity can be calculated.
Oh, well,
I was right.
That's a good argument.
I was right. They had a picture of my car with the time difference, but no distance difference.
That's a good argument.
Or no, there was distance difference and no time difference. And, miles per hour. Velocity is distance over time with a vector because it's velocity. It's not just a speed. It's also got a vector. Thank my science teachers.
Yeah, look at you.
Arlington County Schools. Great. Okay. And I was like, yo, you have this supposed distance traveled, but no time difference. So your distance over time doesn't hold. How can you say how fast I was going? And they go, shut up, kid, $50 extra. And I was like, okay.
You paid it.
I did, because I didn't want to go to jail, and I understood that there were consequences afterwards.
Then they would enforce that.
Right, but Trump has learned that there is no enforcement mechanism.
I think it's going to come to a head.
And he goes, no. And then the bailiff is going to do what? Come and cuff him and drag him into court?
It's not going to be a good look.
How are they going to do that? The Secret Service is sworn to protect him. From what?
But there's the thing. The Secret Service is not... It's there to protect him from a credible threat. The credible threat can't be the United States government.
I mean, they are the United States government.
They are, exactly.
What's going to happen if the U.S. Marshals call up the Secret Service and go, listen, I know you think you got to protect this potato, but we have to come and get him. And they're going to be like, we don't like this guy anyway. You can go ahead and have him. I mean, I don't know what they're going to say.
My thing is the Secret Service, I would feel like they would report like to Merrick Garland, would they? Or to Biden?
No, to DHS
or
Secretary.
To the DHS. Okay.
Mayorkas.
All right, then you have to make the call. All right, stand down, Secret Service, take him away.
I mean, that would have to be the case, right? But we don't prosecute former presidents.
We're not even prosecuting you. We're asking you.
We're enforcing a court order.
We're not even prosecuting.
We just want you to come in and be deposed, where you're going to plead the fifth for an hour and a half anyway. But we just need to go through this motion, because if he does plead the fifth, that's admissible as evidence of guilt in a civil case, which is what Tish James is on to in the first place, which is why he's not going to comply. It's so obvious and circular, and they know it. Look, I am not a lawyer, much like Rudy Giuliani.
Same here.
And they know, if I know it, fucking they know it, they're not going to do it. You know who else doesn't know how lawyers work?
Who?
Sarah Palin.
Oh, Lord.
Sarah Palin sued the New York Times for libel.
Hey.
Now, libel...
I like this.
Libel is a weird piece of, like, old English common law, right? And it says that you can't... There's difference between libel and slander. But libel says you can't knowingly print or publish something about somebody that is untrue,
right?
With intent to harm them. Yes. That's critically important here. So here's what happened. The New York Times published an editorial. It was written by a nice lady, and then it's written by a nice lady and handed in to some guy who was her editor who rewrote the whole thing.
Yeah.
That did happen. In that, the final piece drew some connection between Palin's campaign imagery and advertisements and postings that involved crosshairs specifically over Arizona and then specifically over Maricopa County, where Gabby Giffords was the congresswoman and then ended up getting shot by a crazy guy. And she didn't die.
Terrorist.
Domestic terrorist, white supremacist. And she almost died, but she didn't.
Yeah, she did not.
And her husband, Mark Kelly, is now senator.
And she has a very, very influential foundation, the Giffords.
That's true. And not the one that makes the ice cream. No. It's the other Giffords. But she's the one out there helping, victims of gun violence and all this kind of stuff. And her husband, Commander Mark Kelly, we should point out, is the twin brother of Commander Scott Kelly. These are the twin astronauts. We've talked about them on this show. It's amazing we have twin astronauts.
Of course.
One other country. Yeah, Russia. You might steal Ukraine, but we've got twin astronauts. We won the space race. It wasn't the moon thing. It was the twin astronauts.
Exactly. Right.
Okay, so Palin published all this stuff that was like putting crosshairs over Gabby Giffords' district, and then this guy shot Gabby Giffords. And the editorial in the Times said that this was connected. And then 14 hours later, they printed a retraction.
No.
Because they weren't connected at all. Not. And this just was
loosey-goosey op-ed stuff.
You wanted to see this be true, but it wasn't true. Yeah. So, op-ed stuff. That's the right way to call it.
Op-ed stuff.
Except that it wasn't op-ed. It was the actual editorial board that wrote that.
Yeah, that was fair. Yes, it was.
Okay. But they printed a retraction. So Palin goes to court, and she goes, well, they libeled me because they made it so that I was responsible for this, and that's not true, and they knew that wasn't true. And the evidence that they knew it wasn't true is that they printed a retraction. And the Times was like, wait a minute. No, the evidence that we knew that we made a mistake is that we printed a retraction. That's what a retraction is. We know you only watch Fox News, which has never printed a retraction in its life, so you don't know what that word means. Also, you don't speak English, so that might be a little bit difficult.
No. Which one did Fox started cutting people off with? And there was something that they were like, nah, we're not doing. I'm blanking on what it was. There was something that Fox came on and they cut it. Maybe it was around some of the election stuff initially.
Well, it was the stuff with the Dominion voting machine.
The Dominion voting machine.
When they fired Lou Dobbs over that.
Yeah, like hold on.
They weren't going to print a retraction, but they did just cut them off. Like, get out of here because you cost $1.3 billion. They're still on the hook for that, by the way. Those lawsuits are moving.
That's the one time.
All right. So anyway, Palin goes to sue, and it goes to court, and it gets immediately tossed. Because the First Amendment essentially protects this kind of speech, and they made a mistake. That's not the same as intentional.
Right. It was no malice.
There was no malice there. There was no intention to harm, and it was just a mistake. And so the judge tossed it. Well, she appealed. It went to the appellate court. The appellate court says, you got to hear the case. Okay, we'll hear the case, says the judge. He hears the case. It goes on for a long time. It goes to the jury.
It does, yeah. The jury's deliberating.
The jury's out deliberating. They're out for 3 days.
Which tells me, I have some thoughts on that.
Okay. Well, sounds about white. But they're out for 3 days deliberating. But while they're sequestered, which is a funny word for like in a box.
Yeah.
Okay. The judge tells everybody, I'm going to toss this case regardless, because on the merits of the law, there's absolutely nothing here. But I want the jury to rule so that when this idiot appeals this stuff, the appellate court will see that the jury and I found this to be ridiculous. So the jury comes back and they go, well, this is ridiculous. Obviously, they printed a retraction. They knew it was a mistake. They said it was a mistake. They even apologized for it. So there's no malice of intent here and all that kind of stuff. And the judge goes, thank you for your work. You've done an excellent job. I was already going to toss a case. See you later. Here's your $15 for the day or whatever, which is still, I think, what we pay jurors. And then off they went.
Right.
And Sarah Palin went to Sbarro to eat pizza with a fork. With Trump.
To file an appeal. There's a few things around
and
this.
Breathe on some people.
Oh, God, right. No mess. I think there's a few things here. All right. Newspapers, they're going to get things wrong, right?
It happens.
It happens. And
even we get things wrong on this show.
Wrong a lot.
Believe it or not, our journalistic integrity only goes so far. Occasionally, me in particular, makes misstatements of fact.
It was at this
I once called him Senator Rand Paul. I should not have done that. That was a mistake. I apologize.
And newspapers at times move in bad faith.
That is true.
That happens, right? And the New York Times,
including the old gray lady, it has happened.
Yes, definitely. So I'm right. In the New York Times,
you have some examples of this.
I do. Well, not for the old gray lady. I'm going to pick on the New York Times.
That's the old gray lady.
Excuse me. No. I do have a lot of. I have a lot of examples on that. All right. First, right, you go with Tom Cotton's op-ed.
Okay, well, that wasn't the paper that wrote that. That was him that wrote that.
Right, but I'm just saying, it's still...
They printed it.
The New York Times printed it. And
it was factually inaccurate 6 ways from Sunday.
And also as well, too, right?
Inciting violence.
Inciting violence, right? You said he's sending the troops. Also, too, that's the same person who rewrote this same...
it was the same editor, wasn't it?
It was James Bennett, right? So maybe he should just
got rid of... You think he's going to get fired?
Well, he got fired in 2020.
Oh, he did get fired.
After the
you
Tom
think he's going to come on our show?
No, not at all. But maybe they should have got rid of him.
Maybe we should get him on the show. He could be our editor.
Well, then, I mean, look, all right. James, if you're listening, come on to the show.
He would add a level of integrity to this show.
At first, for the old gray lady, you know what I was thinking of at a second? I was like, wait, are you calling, what's the name, that?
Catherine Graham? No. Oh, God, no.
I know, that's what I was at. But again, this is what happens when we start drinking IPAs.
That is the nickname of the Times. The Graham family, oh my God, no.
I know, right? Which also has had...
I love them.
That's fine. We can love them as well, too. I could go down. I could attack the Washington Post as well, too. But they're the hometown. Don't. I'm not going to do that
today. We used to have 3 pages of comics.
There was.
2 whole sections on Sundays back in the day.
Exactly. You almost gave me the finger.
Couldn't get the other section to work.
Exactly. All right, but...
Don't make me get the sound clip.
Then they go who? But right, you can... But you can...
I don't know if I'm proud or ashamed of that, by the way.
So bad.
It was no hard R.
There was none at all. No, you didn't say it.
Got the accent and everything.
Right. Yeah. You can go back. I went back and I did some little... I went back even further with the New York Times, right?
You did research.
I did some research. And I looked up how they spoke about strikers at the Great Railroad Strike.
It's not streakers.
They're not streakers. Strikers, right?
These are workers on strike, right? Refusing to work.
Refusing to work because they had terrible conditions, right?
Right.
And this is how they describe the strikers, and this is in 1877. Roughs, hoodlums, rioters, mob, suspicious-looking individuals, bad characters, thieves, blacklegs, looters, communists, rabble, labor reform agitators, a dangerous class of people, gangs, tramps, drunken section men, lawbreakers, threatening crowd, bummers, ruffians, loafers, bullies, vagabonds, cowardly mob, bands of worthless felons.
Can we get that on a shirt?
Incendiaries,
all of those things.
Enemies of society, reckless crowd, malcontent, wretched people, loudmouth orators, rapscallions. I love that word.
Rapscallion, that's a great word. Rabble-rousers.
Robbers, riffraff, terrible fellows, felons, and idiots. Now, that's on July 26th.
Wait a minute. Didn't they call them a bunch of other things and then they called them idiots?
Yes, felons and idiots.
No, but they're also scheming and communists and all that.
Before that. Right. All right, that's on the July 26th. On August 9th.
That was all in one day?
One day, right? On August 9th, as a lot of ink. As this goes on, The Times declared that the strike had been, quote, little short of a revelation as to the conditions of labor in mining districts and on the railroads. So a reporter went onto the ground.
It was like, oh, shit. The situation is very grave. Perhaps these rabble-rousers are not full of shit.
Here's one more quote from that. How, he asked, could they live on $1.35 a day and pay rent for a company shack and for their garden plot and have fathers buy their own tickets home after taking a one-way trip?
Good Lord.
So there you go. There's the New York Times retracting a statement. Right?
Wait, they printed a retraction.
They printed a retraction.
Can't libel them.
Again, the same thing with this case, right? They corrected it. Palin's packed that comment that, right, they shouldn't have put that out there, right?
I don't think this was ever really about trying to recoup some damage, because one of the things that came out in this trial is, what exact damage did you suffer?
Did you suffer? That's a yes. Right.
And she was like, well, it was uncomfortable. And they're like, you're a public figure, lady. There's no uncomfortable. I mean, we are famous people.
Yes.
We are, right?
We are, yeah.
People write all kinds of bullshit about us on Twitter. They call us all kinds of things, like fake radio hosts or on that network or whatever. Yeah. Or I don't know. What else do they call us? Various things.
Various things.
Once they called me Chip. It was awful. So, host of Chip Chat. I never wanted to be associated with this show. But so, like, you don't get to pick and choose.
No.
You called yourself a pit bull with lipstick.
Yes.
And now you're mad that they printed a retraction and apologized to you? Get out of here.
It's not very pit bullish.
Also, score one for the Times on that, right? Because, St. Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Like that. Whew. That's some heavy shit.
Yeah. So
we haven't done very well by workers in this country. I think we ought to work on that.
Who the roughs, hoodlums, riders,
those guys. I want that
list.
I want that list. I'm gonna get it. No, I've got Terrence. If you're listening, I got a shirt idea. Well, Tez has a shirt idea. Sorry, the New York Times has a shirt idea.
Labor unions, right? That's what it is.
We'll do it.
There it is. Yeah.
Terrence will make it into like a really cool blocky silk screen. That's how I can see it. It's got to look like kind of rough printed.
Wretched people is always a
yeah. I mean, these are a lot of the same words that were used to describe, my family and people like that as they arrived on these shores.
Yeah.
Under the guiding light of Lady Liberty and all that. I mean, we're all the wretched people and idiots.
This could have been Jews, blacks, Italians.
That's exactly what the fuck they meant. Are you kidding me? Irish. Yeah.
What? But
various Catholics.
What was this? 1877. They probably brought us up there to break the strike, and we was like, "Well, hell, give us some."
No, that was the Pinkertons. That was Pinkertons.
No, that was the Pinkertons.
1870s. It's all the Pinkertons.
Yeah, the Pinkertons. That's
give those waspy guys a couple of revolvers. Tell them to go do the thing.
Yeah, which in Pittsburgh
and enough whiskey.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that was the currency of the realm at the time.
But those Pinkertons, they caught some L's, though, because some of those people's fighting against them.
Yeah.
Them townsfolk.
I mean, miners got picks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. And they're just fed up.
What are you fighting for?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're fed up.
Why do I want to live another day if what I'm going to do is go back to digging coal in a mine? I'm going to fight.
My kid is black.
Yeah.
He's not black, but he's like black.
He's black for being dipped in coal. It wasn't Governor Northam.
It wasn't Northam. Don't get excited.
No, we didn't mean to. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
We didn't paint our lungs black.
No, right.
They painted our lungs black.
Jim Blow.
This is quite a show.
It's bad.
All right. You want to take a break?
Yes, I need one.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network.
And then they go who?
I'm calling you up, but you're calling me down. I want you to smile, but you give me the frown. It's easy to see that the trouble with me is you. I'm taking you out, but but you're taking me in. Calling it quits when I wanna begin. It's easy to see that the trouble with me is you. Just when I know that my heart says go, you stop. Then when I start to feel high, you let me drop with a flop. You're brushing me off and you lead me on. Tell me you'll stay, then I find that you're gone. It's easy to see why I happen to be so blue. 'Cause the trouble with me is you. When I know that my heart says go, you stop. Then when I start to feel high, you let me drop with a flop. You're brushing me off and you're leading me on. Tell me you'll stay, then I find that you're gone. It's easy to see why I happen to be so blue. 'Cause the trouble with me, it's so easy to see. 'Cause the trouble with me is you.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Sweeps.
All right, so now it's time for the rundown.
Let's go.
What do we... Oh, hold on. What's the thing? Oh, now it's time for the rundown where we're going to tell you about some stuff that's gone on in the news.
Did he forget his own thing?
No, I was waiting to see if you get mad at me for not doing the thing.
No, I wait till after the show, and then I...
And then you're like, why didn't you
The hell did you do that?
Yeah. You have a catchphrase.
And then they go, who?
No, you have the other one. But you have like an actual hashtag and stuff.
Sweeps.
Yeah, that. So I have the rundown thing.
I like that. It makes me happy every time I hear it.
It's a good one. Okay, so this one is this is a hard one to really talk about.
Shit. Yeah, right.
I get to be the one to bring things down for a change.
Yeah, right. I was like, Lord.
Okay. Unfortunately for all of us, there's a place called Connecticut. But in Connecticut, there are good people in Connecticut. I've met some of them.
Wrestling.
Yeah, that's true. And ESPN all comes. Yeah.
I don't like
and
them
the
as much.
Maury Show.
I'm not mad.
Comes from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I was exiled to Connecticut for 2 years. It wasn't great, but, I survived. And so here I am. Okay, in Connecticut, there's a place called Sandy Hook, or Newtown, I should say. And the elementary school is called Sandy Hook. There was a terrible shooting there.
Yeah, it's insane.
Years ago. And
it is crazy that it is years ago at this point. Is that 2012?
Yeah, in 2012. And Barrio was president, and he gave a speech, and he cried. He couldn't keep it together because he had young kids of a similar age. I have young kids of a similar age.
I guess, and before we go, just that piece there, and I'm pretty sure we're not, this isn't unique to us, but it's something that runs through my mind daily, and also, too, I read...
I get the emails from the school. We have an active shooter drill playing this week. Don't tell your kids.
And it's
like, oh, okay,
and it's just one of those things, right? One of those things when you go to school. At least I felt right. I didn't go to school when it was segregated, right? But there's certain things about in this sense. I did not personally.
I mean, not legally segregated.
And my school is really diverse. But there are certain things with school that you thought would just it would just there'd be a fire drill. I didn't think there would be new pieces, new things added to it.
I never thought that would be new.
And I think the school
And you might have been
drill,
too young to ever get any of the duck and cover drills.
Yeah.
We still had those.
The Soviet Union was already over at that point for me.
No,
man.
we already had.
Point,
We had the like.
It was done. Yeah, I can
go
imagine.
hide in the hallway and get under the locker. Kind of. Yeah, we had those ones.
I'm old enough to look and
We
see
had
the
the lead
fallout,
doors that would-
the fallout
yeah,
shelter
that would
on
close
schools.
them. Yeah,
you'd see them the actual sign on
If you
it.
look in the hallways, you'll see them. They're these little like 6-inch metal slats in the side of the walls. And that there's lead doors in there that will slam shut.
Yeah, but even with that, people were afraid of a foreign power dropping a nuclear bomb.
And it was an existential threat that affected everybody.
And John Wilcox on Dick, he wrote it again. I read too much crazy things on this, but it's one of
somebody's got to read.
It's one of those things that I think of on a daily basis. Like, all right, my kids at school. I know that the school is a target.
It is.
It's a target.
It wasn't before, but it is now.
Yeah.
And thanks to the good folks at Remington, it's an easy target. So here's what happened. A crazy guy shot up the school. He killed a bunch of children, also a bunch of teachers. And the country went, okay, this is when we're finally going to do something about gun violence.
It did feel that way.
Because we're like, yo, you're murdering children.
It just can't be this.
No, not 5-year-olds.
No.
Like, what are we talking about here? But don't worry. The NRA was like, oh, well, what we really should do is give 6-year-olds guns, and they'll be safe the next time that this happens, because there will always be a next time. And we have been in this protracted battle over Sandy Hook ever since. Alex Jones, your favorite eater of leftist ass, is currently on the hook for $70 gajillion to the families of Newtown because he continued to say that it was fake.
Which is just...
And that it was some sort of plot by the left to take away guns by staging crisis actors.
And I hope that drove enough ad dollars your way, right? I hope
not
it was worth it. Not to pay for this.
This guy's going to be destitute. But that doesn't matter because the bell can't be unrung.
You're right.
And now you've got, these idiots in their trucks, jamming Ottawa. Like, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. But the other thing that the families of Sandy Hook did, which was, I would say, remarkable and a sort of offshoot of the clever lawyering that comes out of the civil rights era.
They got organized first. Even after they got organized first.
They got together. But like, in the civil rights era, there was like, all right, we can't necessarily sue the states for what they did, but maybe we can sue the people for doing it, or the providers of the equipment, or and they started to learn that, and also I would say that the tobacco settlement kind of enters into this, and the other kind of things. So basically, the lawyers learned that if policy isn't going to change, maybe we can use dollars to change things. Let's sue the makers of the guns. Let's sue the providers of the guns for the tragedy that they created. Now, this, obviously, we're 10 years after the fact. We're 10 years after Barry O in his tan suit cried and made Mitch McConnell very upset.
He started crying because he wore a tan suit.
He was tan suit. And he's crying. He's lying.
Didn't he wear a tan suit?
He did wear a tan suit. Like 2 weeks ago, he was wearing a tan suit. Okay, they sued Remington, which is who made the gun that shot all of these children, for $73 million.
Should have been more.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for a gun manufacturer. And in particular, why this is important is that the gun manufacturers, not the gun owners, but the gun manufacturers, are the ones that support the NRA. And the NRA is in big trouble because of, what's her name again? We just talked about her. She's like great at doing good stuff, and she didn't want to be governor.
No.
And
Letitia James?
Tish James! Yeah. She sued the NRA into bankruptcy and made him die. No, she didn't make him die. No. But she made him leave New York.
They're still gleaming off 66.
That building is there, but I'm not sure that they can afford it.
I know. I'm waiting for it.
They're basically bankrupt, and they're moving to Texas. So Governor Abbott can stand up for them. And
Get going to Texas.
It's okay. He can't roll over here. We have stairs. So,
Oh, my God.
come on, Greg Abbott.
But we also have an elevator for any regulators might be
It's
listening
off
to
and
us.
not working. Don't worry.
She's going to shut us down. Watch.
What's he going to do? He's in Texas.
No.
Their electricity probably isn't working right now, so he can't even hear this. It's like below 50 degrees out there. I don't know.
How cold is it?
Okay, but anyway, they sued Remington and they won. They
did.
won. They got judgment to say, and this is very in line with like the tobacco settlements. Y'all make this product that kills people, and you know it kills people. There's no way to be like, well, you know, they were using it incorrectly. It's a gun. They were using it very correctly, and they killed all the people.
And they focused in the suit, they focused in on the marketing, similar to what happened with tobacco, right? They focused in on the marketing. And I think that just goes right around just the gun issue in this country. It's going to have to be, you're going to have to wage war at the court level. That's right. It's going to be in the courts.
And in the margins.
Yeah.
Here's the statement from Biden, which I think is really important. They have demonstrated that state and city consumer protection laws like Connecticut's Unfair Trade Practices Act, and I will point out that Connecticut is the home of Colt.
Yeah.
You know, like this is where gun manufacturing started in this country. Provided an opportunity to hold gun manufacturers and dealers accountable for wrongdoing despite the persistence of the federal immunity shield for these companies. Because Congress gave gun manufacturers and gun manufacturers alone immunity from prosecution for the harm that their products can cause. So if I make chainsaws, which are dangerous, and you use a chainsaw and hurt yourself, I can get sued, right? You used my chainsaw. Sure, I told you it was dangerous, but I mean, ultimately, you know, it's a chainsaw. I made it. I'm not indemnified from any particular, harm that it could cause.
But also, it almost would be like you made chainsaws and you were marketing it to like, hey, get wild and get crazy with this chainsaw.
Have fun with your chainsaw.
Yeah, it's almost like that. He's like, and you were marketing to the young, like in this case, they were like to younger folks.
And I want to be clear, chainsaws are fun.
Yeah.
I love my chainsaw. My 6-year-old loves our chainsaw. She learned how to use it last weekend.
Gas powered?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
I know.
It's not enough to just chop down trees. You have to also kill the planet while you do it.
Dead ass birds.
That's right. Don't worry. We're chopping up limbs that already fell because of climate change.
That's fair,
storms.
right?
Yeah.
Dead trees.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay.
But
Clear the
anyway,
brush.
okay. So, right. We're clearing brush. It's me and W. All right. So, like, this is a huge win.
No, it's a huge. I mean, warning to the insurance companies because Remington was bankrupt. They filed for bankruptcy. I believe
They were already bankrupt.
So this is going to hit the insurance. Yeah, it's going to hit the insurance companies. And I just think right. If you insure one of these companies, you might just at least look to, like in this case here, how they market their weapons to folks. And it's just like also too from talking to gun owners. They're good with just the basic, like, hey, let's do some background checks. Hey, let's make sure motherfuckers have put these shits in safes.
The numbers are in the 90-something% agreement.
They're
with
like,
those
we don't
things.
want to, like, we were with that. So, like, the fact that
I like guns.
Same
Shooting
here.
guns is fun.
I shoot guns. I enjoy it. Like, again,
former co-host of the show, Culture, big gun aficionado. Big fan of the Second Amendment. Big fan of black folks owning lots of guns.
Yeah. One of the best books I've ever read, Negroes with Guns.
And he's way into the technical aspect of it, and he likes to go shoot. I mean, I'm into that too, but I couldn't afford them, so I got cameras instead. That was my my version of guns. I could go to yard sales and buy cameras.
You can still shoot. But,
right. But that's exactly what I told my mom. She didn't like that.
But my thing is, in like the folks who I know who own guns, they're some of the most careful folks I know with it. And like, again, they're enthusiasts. They can break down like the mechanics. Like they're cleaning their guns.
They also don't want anybody telling them what they can and can't do with their guns, but they will. Every one of them I know, with one notable exception, which I won't name.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Are the kind of people who will say, I will not lend my gun to somebody. I will not teach this to somebody. I will not sell this to somebody unless I know who they are. And then you go, oh, well, so then nobody should? And they go, well, nobody should tell me whether I can or can't do that.
Yeah, see, for the ones, and I don't know many, but the few I know, they're like super enthusiastic, and like I go shooting with them.
Do they want regulation, or
yes,
they want it to be voluntary?
They want regulation because they want regulation.
I mean, I think that's a vast majority. I know that there are other people who aren't.
Because for them, they're like, Lord, we don't want to be like
liable for
this shit. Like, yo, we don't want to be liable.
$73 million.
And also, too, they're like,
guns get stolen a lot.
They get stolen a lot, and I think we talk like again. The mass shootings are sickening, and it's a plague in this country. But the bigger one is honestly, just in a sense, like folks or kids getting a hold of these guns in their home.
Violence,
in their home.
There was a guy
who
shot somebody over popcorn in a movie theater, in Florida because it's Florida.
Yeah, right.
Stand your ground and all that. I mean, it's the whole thing. There are too many guns. There are more guns than there are people in this country.
That's why I think like we have to regulation is the only way to go about it because you're not taking them from anybody. That's not happening. The
voluntary aspect of you should behave yourself with the vast majority of gun owners are responsible.
They are.
Get that.
Yeah.
That is all true. The vast majority of drivers are responsible too. That doesn't stop us from putting rules on these things. And for my whole life, I equated guns with cars. Because, anybody can get a driver's license and you want to drive and there's all these kind of rules and all this kind of stuff. And then I had a friend, he's passed away now, but his name is Nate. And he says, substitute the word guns with voting rights and see how you feel about any of the things that you say. Because it's a right. It is enshrined in our Constitution. There should be regulations on voting rights. I'm not good with that.
But the thing is, there are.
And there are on guns too.
There are.
I knew a guy who came back from a gun show. I'm not making this story up. He was wearing his NRA lifetime member hat at the time he told me this. And he goes, there are some things that people just shouldn't have. Certain weapons people just shouldn't have. And I had my back to him at the time. I turned around and I was like, say that again. And he realized what he was saying. And he puts his hand over his hat. And he goes, I'll never vote that way. But there are certain guns that people just shouldn't have.
Well, I think because then it gets to a point where this, again, going to a gun range for the first time was one of those things where I was like, oh, everything's got stripped down. Everybody's here. They have their guns. They're talking. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, gay, straight. It doesn't, at least it didn't seem that way.
But everybody is extremely focused on safety.
Yeah.
You go to a range, that's about the safest place you've ever been in your life.
And you're not, nothing's going to happen there. Besides your... Right.
Nothing's going to happen. And also everybody is super focused on keeping everybody else responsible and accountable. The problem is that we have this enshrined in our basic rights in the same way that we have all these other things.
Well regulated.
Yeah, well regulated. And we have all kinds of regulations on speech and all this other kind of stuff too. And I'll be damned if I'm quartering soldiers. But it's in there too.
Yeah.
But the stuff that we cavalierly say, oh, well, you got to have a license to do that. Should we have a license to vote? No. You should have to pay a tax to carry a gun. Should you have a tax to vote? No. You should have to take a test to have a gun. Should you have to take a test to vote? No.
If we're specific though, right, because I think San Jose is doing it where they're making, I think it's $35 a year, and it's this is going in. It's more so an insurance fund. If something happens, and again,
but it all gets fought in court.
It does,
and it ends in Heller.
Yeah,
and it ends in all of this kind of
Heller's
stuff.
Got another one coming up.
Every time we let it get to court, we're exposing this opportunity to say that this thing is a right. It is unfortunately enshrined as a right in our Constitution, which means it is affirmative. You have it whether you want it or not. And you can't take it away. It's not granted. You already have it from like the second you're born. That's where the problem is.
And I just think, I mean,
that's why it has to resort to these lawsuits of bankrupting the companies. I mean, that's really the only way to do it.
I mean, the Congress needs to have some goddamn balls and pass.
They're not going to. They'll never do that.
I don't know if it's a never thing. I don't think if you have the votes.
You think this country would support an amendment to the Second Amendment?
No amendment. We're just starting really small. We want universal background checks, and we want people to put these shits in safes.
Everybody wants that.
We're just going to start there because we can agree. We can agree on that one, and we'll start there. That's all. It's a basic. There's two basic things, right? Universal background checks. Put these motherfucking things in safes.
The problem is that it goes to court after that.
Yeah,
and somebody is going to get into court, and they're going to win. And say that Congress doesn't have the authority to regulate this. It has to be at a state level. There's 200 years of precedent to support that. And it's just the law just isn't on our side on this.
What are we? We're only, maybe 15 years into the court saying that it is that everybody should be to bear arms, right?
Heller's in 2008. So, yeah. I mean, it's less than that.
And it's like, all right, before that, it was like, all right, this is nowhere. We never talked about like everybody should. That is just, we said that we shouldn't be able to the government can infringe on it.
Well, that was your guy.
Yeah.
Scalia.
It was my guy, Scalia.
That's your buddy. You said you like him. You'd be friends with him, right?
I would end up being friends with him.
Right, you and Scalia.
I know.
So you and Antonin were like, here's an idea to unmake the country. We're going to give everybody guns.
Yeah.
Tez caused January 6th.
There it is, guys.
There you heard it.
There it is.
Now that clip doesn't matter. All right. The last thing on the rundown is about my favorite cousin.
The diction. Your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin Danny.
You don't have to claim him.
Well, no, we don't.
Look at that.
Dan Snyder. That guy. Oh, that's the one without the beard.
Oh, God. Yeah, give him, where's the Cruz beard?
Put the one with the Ted Cruz beard. All right.
That's it.
Dan Snyder,
this looks like a happy fan.
As many people might know, unfortunately owns the Washington football team.
Soon to be, I'm sorry.
No, we have a new name.
Yeah.
Called the Commanders. Soon to be the Loudoun County football team. Is that what you're, Soon the Virginia football. I don't know. Whatever. They're still my team, not his.
Okay.
Well, okay. He technically owns them, but I have much more invested in them emotionally.
Yeah.
I mean, by a lot.
He'd argue that.
Would he though?
Yes.
He grew up a fan just like me, but when the Redskins lose, I'm sorry.
No.
When the football team loses, he counts his millions and consoles himself. And I spend the week in a rage, firing all of my employees and bashing holes in walls. I mean, I hate it. I can't stand losing. I was so mad.
How are you not used to this?
Because for the first third of my life, all we did was win.
I can only, yeah.
And that imprinted very steadily on me.
That's so sad.
In the same way that Schuster losing to Great Britain today infuriated me. Not that I didn't expect it, because he always throws narrow and light and he sucks. And Plyce missed a couple of shots, which I was really upset about because he's better than that. But we're not getting down the curling rabbit hole. The important part here is that Dan Snyder is the worst. But we learned he bought a house recently.
I learned he contributed to someone's inauguration.
That's how we learned he bought a house. So Dan Snyder bought this house, which has a name. It's already a problem. If you have a house with a name,
it's not good.
No, my wife and I decided we're going to put a name on our house and give it some like really gaudy, ridiculous name with a sign out front of it, even though it's just like a little regular house. So he bought this house called Riverview. It's sold for $48 million. This is the most expensive house in the DC area ever purchased.
I'm gonna keep it a stack. It literally is the bootleg Mount Vernon.
It is the bootleg Mount Vernon.
It's just missing the slave quarters.
Danny is the fifth owner since George Washington owned that land. That's true. He paid $48 million for it in cash money.
What is that? Wait, hold on. This is The Brinks truck? Or is that a wire?
No, yeah, it's a wire.
It's a wire. Of course it's a wire.
The previous owner was the chairman of Lockheed Martin, which totally makes sense. He listed it for...
Of course, if George Washington owned the land, Commanders, war, I get it.
Yeah. Who else can make that much money? Obviously,
Only a warmonger.
Yeah, right. Blackbirds don't build themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
Keep building them.
So, but he paid $48 million for it cash. It was listed at $60 million. But, Danny, being Danny, was like, how about I give you, 2/3 of that? And the guy was like, all right, I guess, it's cash.
Actually, he's a good deal maker at that point, because in this crazy housing market where everything is
he essentially bought this house for 1/2 of an Albert Hainsworth, which is true. I'm not making that up either, which I'm furious about. Duct tape his ankle back together. He can get out there and play. All right, so
anyways.
I'm still mad about it. You're not still mad about that?
That was bad.
I'm mad about that. Even Brian, who's a Ravens fan, is probably still mad about that.
But to be fair, he tricked Belichick as well, so.
Sure. Which is good.
Yeah.
So, he's equal parts. All right. He bought this house. It's 16.5 acres. He paid for it $48 million. It's 16,000 square foot main house. And then it has a separate carriage house, which is bigger than my house. And it's right on the river.
Yeah, it extends out. It has a pier, I think.
Pier and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting thing about the Potomac River. It belongs to Maryland. Bank to bank. The very first case decided in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, argued by George Mason himself, was about navigation and water taking rights for Virginia, because the Charter of Maryland granted the river from bank to Maryland. When King Charles or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So the pier that Danny has is in Maryland.
Because it's in the water.
And I hope he has to pay Maryland taxes on it.
Damn.
He bought this house. The address of it, in case you want to know, is 7979 East Boulevard Drive. It's right off the GW Parkway. There's all kinds of area around it, which is public space. So I'm not encouraging anybody to post signs encouraging him to sell the team at that location. I'm just letting you know where it is. But the reason we know that this happened was because he gave $25,000 to Governor Youngkin, who's trying to kill children.
Again. He came in cheap again.
$25,000 for his inauguration.
I read that, and I'm like, I've looked through a lot of different inaugurations, even for governors. $25K?
I mean, I could write that check.
Right.
Danny.
That's insane.
All right. Tez, I need you to, I'm going to pause you for a second. We're going to have a talk as tribesmen. Danny, the world thinks we're a bunch of cheapskates. They have this idea that we Jews are a little stingy with the money. We're really trying not to live up to that, if you could help, because you're like a billionaire. We learned from the story that you're worth about $4 billion. So, like, underbidding the house, underbidding the gift to the, crazy governor guy, and being a Republican, it's not a good look, Danny, not a good look. We didn't escape from Egypt to be called cheapskates and then you to prove it. You have so much opportunity here to be a benevolent, generous guy, and instead what you are, you're Dan Snyder. Don't do that. Be somebody else. Be Harry Tannenbaum. That guy's much nicer.
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
What's he going to do? Yank my season tickets again?
Those, you can get those now.
Right, yeah.
Those are available.
$1,300. I'll give you $500 cash because I'm like Dan Snyder.
Rise above.
I hate
Look. Look. Again, Michelle Obama told us what we do in this situation. When they go low,
give George
we
W.
go
candy. Isn't that what she's...
Yeah,
sorry. You want to take a break?
Sure.
Right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network.
Sweeps.
Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Chips.
All right, so now we want to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. Now, we're not going to talk about the impending war.
No. That's
There
happening.
might be a war coming.
That's going to happen.
It's definitely going to
Yeah, like, I love also, too, that I think it was a decent amount of folks, but the one, I know Edward Snowden got out there, and it was a lot about the U.S. media and like the government pushing war. And I saw someone post something funny. It was like, I don't know, have the exact tweet, but it was like, yeah, CNN put the 150,000 Russian troops on the border,
Right,
and
it was
NPR
CNN.
is doing joint drills with Belarus.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. To be clear, the United States and the Western media is not pushing this war.
Also, we're not going to war. All right, like
We aren't going to fight
we're
this
not
war.
going to war.
We're definitely going to throw some drones at it.
Yeah, I don't even think it's. Yeah, maybe not.
Well, they've got
not,
these
not
missile
under
batteries.
us.
Now they got these missile batteries, so they might be a little tricky. We'll have to fly it the other way.
Yeah, but again,
We'll use our space laser. Margie, God damn it. You told them all. The Gazpacho police are going to come and arrest you.
which is crazy. Maybe
We
there's-
could have used our space. This would have been the time. Trayon was right. We could have snowed on him and stopped everything, and then space lasered them, and then no. But instead, because the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky,
Yeah,
also a member of the tribe.
a comedian.
Of course, he
Of
is.
course, he is. A
Listen,
comedian.
We have three kinds of jobs. You're either a doctor, or a lawyer, you're funny.
But to flip the comedian on TV or the comedian president into president,
What's the deal with being president? Not saying. All right. Bob Saget, rest in peace.
another
one of them.
Yeah, another one.
We're
I
a
love
lot
Bob
of us.
Saget.
We're funny people.
You are funny people. That's why I hang around you guys.
Funny looking. All right. So,
Don't say that. I'm gonna spit my fucking beer out.
all right. So here's the thing what we do want to talk about. Now, I'm old. I'm older than you.
Yeah.
I'm old enough that my parents are of the sort of Mad Magazine generation, in the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of these Mad magazines and stuff. I'm real into the Spy vs. Spy, Cloak and Dagger, all that kind of real James Bond stuff, right? As it turns out, that's all real. Like, really real. All over the world, there are these shortwave radio broadcasts of nothing, or it sounds like nothing.
Car show.
Yeah, they're carrying Chip Chat. And just like Chip Chat, embedded in the signal is all kinds of information.
Yeah.
None of it useful,
None of it.
unless you have the right codes. So there's all these stations. They're called number stations for anybody who's listening. But basically, they play stuff that sounds kind of random. Some of them just play like a series of tones. Some of them,
Beep.
yeah,
Some shit like that.
right. They sound like the AOL logins or whatever. Some of them sound like
Fax machine.
Yeah, some of them are just like somebody reading a series of numbers, very much like Lost. With that repeating iterations of 12, 8, 16, 32, whatever. And some of them, they change every now and then. The basic idea of this, which is crazy, is that during the Cold War, or even previous to that, during the war, during World War II, this was the code system for various people working covertly or behind enemy lines to get their instructions. So you might have a code book, and you would tune your shortwave radio to this particular channel.
Right. It's in a sense a random
And it would
station.
have these random words or these random sounds, but because you had the right code book, you could match that up, and it would give you the right series of signals and tell you, a series of instructions or maybe some information.
I hope we never go back to a world war.
Listen,
Because obviously it would be crazier now the way information moves.
yeah, but the thing that you need to know is that this stuff is still operating. And all of the systems that we have are all layered on top of each other. So we all live in this data world where we have these smartphones in our pockets, and that's all really good.
But if it collapses, there's other ways.
Underneath the smartphone system is the old cell phone system, and underneath the cell phone system is the old copper wire
good old plain old telephone net, whatever it's called.
PT, and under that it's got the touch tone system, and under that is the pulse dial system, and all of that is under the shortwave. So like all of these things and they're all still operating.
Right.
And if they weren't, you'd know, because the world would collapse. I mean, they're like critically important.
Yeah, we're too interconnected at this point.
There are tones you can whistle into a payphone that will open the spillways of various dams in this country. You don't know what those tones are. I don't know what those tones are, but they exist. They are real. All this, like that emergency broadcast tone you hear at 2:30 every morning, that's not the tone. That's the test tone. There's a certain tone that if you did hear it, a lot of shit was about to happen. You don't know.
Right.
But that whole thing is based on the idea that some open phone line somewhere is going to hear that, and all it needs to hear is that one thing once, and it will cascade a whole bunch of stuff. The ports will close, dams will shut. It's like amazing. This redundancy on redundancy. Okay, it's all great. Here's what's really going on. Over in Europia, some very clever hackers have hijacked a few of these shortwave radio stations. So shortwave radio, you know about AM, right? You know about FM that we're not on.
I used to listen to sports radio, yeah.
Yeah, AM is sports radio, right? Yeah. And FM is NPR.
Yeah.
And then there's XM, which is satellite radio.
For rich people.
Yeah, and then there's not rich people, swindling people. I swindle XM out of a year's subscription every year.
Off air. Oh, one of those moves.
I'm going to cancel. And they go, please don't. And I go, how much is it worth to you? And they go, $7 a month. Okay. I'll sign up for that. All right. Anyway.
We talked about that.
We'll get on XM later. And then there's RIP radio, which is way lower than all the other ones.
It's ripped.
Yeah. So, but shortwave radio is over-the-air broadcast, and basically anybody can pick it up if you've got a shortwave radio,
right.
And there's various ways to do that. And you can also listen to it on the internet, because you can just plug in a certain megahertz rating, and you can listen to what's on that. And it's great. Shortwave radio is the way that you can hear stuff from like BBC Guinea-Bissau or whatever. Like there's crazy stuff that you can hear on shortwave radio. It's how Paul Penna, who is a noted American blues singer, learned Mongolian throat singing by listening to Soviet shortwave radio. It's like this crazy thing.
Also, what's the name? As I mentioned, Negroes with Guns, which is a great book by Robert Williams. He used that when he fled to Cuba, and he used shortwave radio.
And most of the African revolutionaries that threw off the colonialists in the 60s and 70s in Southern Africa used shortwave radio as their way to communicate, and it was a big part of Rwanda and all. Okay, so like it's a big deal, but in Europe, this is how the spies get their codes. All right, somebody's hacked various Russian shortwave radio signals that had until recently been broadcasting a series of tones that nobody knew exactly what they were, but that they would occasionally change and mostly stay the same, and people took them to be spy tones. What do you think they rigged these stations to? What did they broadcast over top of these tones so that anybody listening to it would hear? What's the most internet thing to do to somebody who's listening in on this?
Who's listening in on it? I was going to lean towards music.
Yes. Okay, so here I am, Russian spy in, let's call it West Germany, because we're using those words. and
country music?
Yeah, and I tune in to get my signal to tell me what to do next, and I hear
radio. Oh, this is disco type.
Not disco. Go ahead, Brian. Play it until we get cut off. Oh. They're getting Rickrolled. They're playing Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down, Never Gonna Run Around and Desert You.
That's funny. So they're trolling.
They are trolling the Russians. Ahead of the invasion of Ukraine, we don't know. Also, these things have these sort of digital signatures that you can watch fall down if you've seen like on the Matrix where the trickling numbers it looks like a cascade waterfall. Those are the frequencies or the oscillations of the radio tone over time. So you can look at them in a real time video version if you wanted to say, watch radio signals. Most of the time it looks like fuzz and it looks like the on your TV. Well, they also coded into that various images, including the Guy Fawkes mask and some various stuff that says like, fuck Russia or, whatever else, because they can do that. You can fit that into the signal by changing, slight oscillations in the frequency that your ear won't pick up.
The troll response on this is going to be savage. The troll farms
is fantastic.
But the folks in St. Petersburg, they're going to be upset at this. They're going to get they're like, okay, we got something for your asses now.
Yeah, but
you
they
fuck
don't.
With our radio
but the funny thing is, they can't figure out where it can come from because anybody broadcasting on that frequency with enough power will be the thing that your radio will pick up. You've ever been between cities listening to a station and you get both at the same time?
Yeah.
Now imagine that with some sort of like important information on it. Way to go, Anonymous.
Right, exactly.
Or
whoever the fuck it is, right?
Ace is on Rickrolling the Russians. If we do go to war in Ukraine.
Oh no.
When we go to war in
when the Ukrainians defend their democracy with the comedian president,
yes,
when they defend that we will watch from afar and we will place sanctions. That's what's going to happen.
We want to tune in and listen to Rick Astley though on Russian spy radio, because that's pretty amazing.
Yo, Putin will not be happy about this.
It would be a shame if something happened to Astley, Rick. I mean, is he still alive? He's still alive, isn't he?
I don't know.
He's got to be aware of the thing.
All
right, so when Ukraine,
the Novichok or whatever, gets
right.
to him.
So that's what I'm wondering. So, like, if Ukraine wins the war, does Rick Astley get to accept the surrender? He'll never give it up.
He'll never give it up.
He'll never let you down.
I got more money on Ukraine.
He'll never run around. He might desert you.
I hope not.
But only for pie. The best of the desserts. Okay. You want to do a Tez talk?
Let's talk.
Let's talk about some
Look at
Tez
these
stuff.
ass birds. I love that every time. All right, folks. The sea is rising. Yeah, it's rising. Yeah.
Don't tell Danny.
And it's accelerating.
It's going to wash his house away.
It is going to, right?
It's so about we just 10 talked feet from the water.
We just talked about Snyder, and he has the bootleg Mount Vernon that's next to Mount Vernon. It is bigger than Mount Vernon, but it's not. I told you, it's lacking one thing.
No, it was built by.
Oh, it did. Did it have the quarters still on the land?
No, they're over at actual Mount Vernon.
Actual Mount Vernon.
It's the same guys.
It's the same guy, right? Right, exactly. Because there's only one set of folks that built everything.
G-Dub owned, yeah. Bill O'Reilly said they were very well paid and happy. Happy to do it.
So did McGraw Hill as well.
Just like how we were happy to build the pyramids. We did not build the pyramids. We built other stuff.
Okay. A space laser.
Yes, that's different. We did that later.
AD.
Yeah, right. CE, not AD. CE.
All right, folks. All right, the sea is rising. It's gonna rise more. It's gonna rise more than a foot.
It's a hoax.
It is. Tell me about this hoax.
We're gonna have penguins running for mayor of DC. Be better than Kenya McDuffie.
Woo!
What?
Hey, look.
Penguin's been to real law school.
Woo! What?
Come on the show.
Oh my Lord.
I love Kenya McDuffie.
There's folks at the camp I represent that would love that quote that you say. If I send that to them, then we really
Brian, mark it.
Mark that one there. All right, folks. Again, see, we try to put some happiness around this because waves are coming to ruin everything you love.
I like surfing.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Your cryptocurrency, the servers it runs on, that shit is about to get washed away.
Cryptocurrency, not so good with the powers out.
It just doesn't work, right?
No.
And
At least Beanie Babies you can still buy and sell.
Exactly right. That'll be the currency when the water is up to your fucking neck.
My mom is going to be a billionaire.
Yeah, when the water is up to your neck. Beanie
she's got a lot of Beanie Babies.
There was a specific time where you could have sold those Beanie Babies and made a lot of money. It might have been like 1998. It might have been like 98, 99. There was a window.
My dad was a government worker, and they sold Beanie Babies at his agency's gift shop, and they got like first dibs on them. So
my mom worked at Nordstrom's. She got first dibs on these. I have a lot of Beanie Babies.
Special Beanie Babies. We got them like before. Yeah.
Yeah, and we probably missed the window.
They were amazing.
Similar to how we're missing the window with climate change right now.
Or not. You know, it's all going to... It's a hoax.
Again, believe that seawalls are going to be built everywhere and they're going to protect us.
Me.
For you. You think here in the nation's capital, there will be seawalls built up?
I am counting on the sort of greed and selfishness of the moneyed people around me to do the thing to protect themselves and by extension myself, even though they don't mean to. And I will be fine. My children, maybe not.
So
but
Old Town. Let's use Old Town as an example.
Oh, I love that place.
You love that place, right?
Yeah, but I like the upper part of it.
Of course, right? But
yeah, where Murphy's.
The nuanced flooding probably happens right now in Old Town.
Literally every night.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
By 2050, that's going to change to where it just is going to become damaging episodes of flooding each time.
2050?
Oh, look at you. You're like, that's far away.
2050?
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's 30 years from now.
That's not long.
Well, maybe for you.
No. But my thing is, you have multiple children.
I do.
But when you're youngest...
God willing, I want them to also get shit-faced at Murphy's and accidentally propose to their girlfriend and, have 3 children.
There you go.
Which is what I did. No, it was a very planned proposal. But
okay.
Yeah, no,
but again, you want
I want Murphy's to still be there. But that's like several blocks up from the water. It's fine.
1 million Americans live on land that's less than 1 yardstick above the high tide line.
We need the Pat Collins snow stick.
That's a good
That's how we'll
figure
it out.
No. You need Pat Collins to take that, get another one, and then tell your local government, let's start raising everything that's close to these rivers.
Oh, we should put it up on stilts. Then we can just drive our cars as much as we want, and it doesn't matter.
The Jetsons never seemed more real to me at this point of why they lived in the air. Because now I get it.
Yeah.
But then my question is, when we live in the air and the air is no good, then what do we do?
We have air cleaners. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna put friggin' what's the name? We'll throw something into the atmosphere.
Yeah, we'll put filters. It'll be fine. Why are you so worried about this?
No one is following this shit.
No.
At all. No, let me not say that.
Hit the button, Brian. Keep talking.
I was going to leave the dead-ass air.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to leave dead-ass air.
Brian, hit the button.
No. Look at these dead-ass birds.
There you go.
There it is. Exactly.
They're just birds.
They're just birds.
Are we all going to die?
No, just the birds.
Oh, well, then it's fine.
Did you hear about these? I never heard about the fake story that's kind of making fun of fake stories where it's like the birds aren't real.
Birds are not real. That's true.
I'm so mad.
They're drones.
I'm so mad I got late to that.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I was late to that. But I also realized how that same person who created that could have easily went into some QAnon shit.
No, yeah, it could have been. But fortunately, that's good guy stuff.
Folks,
this is kind of a big deal. I'm making fun of
We make fun of this. I don't make fun of this. I find this very alarming.
Yes, you should.
I feel like the tidal basin is going to be up by the monument and up high, past the door.
Probably. I mean, it is kind of now.
Yeah, it's
on high tide days when it rains.
And Haynes Point is not going to be there.
You seen those flop down gates on 17th Street?
Yeah,
right. Why do we have those? It's fun, right? For the tourists. No, it's not fun. It's terrifying and means that the world is exacting revenge on us for fucking it up.
It's gonna happen so slowly that like we're like, oh wow, like my feet are wet. I went to go to the war for the last to go get some fish and my feet were wet because high
like
tide.
The frog boiling in a pot.
And then we're gonna look up and it's gonna be up to our necks. I don't know.
How high is the water, mama? 3 feet high and rising.
Ooh.
It's a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah, and then a what do you call it? A really great De La Soul album.
Also that, which they got from the Johnny
Yeah,
Cash.
they get it just from the Johnny Cash. I don't know. I care about the climate. We're probably not going to do anything about it until it's really
we're
too
definitely
late.
not going to do anything.
And
What's the Churchill quote?
What's it about the Americans?
We can always count on the Americans to do the right thing after they've tried everything else.
Ocean City is not. It's going to be bad for you.
You're not making a compelling argument.
I know
I'm fine with sacrificing Ocean City. There's nothing there I care about.
What about Staten Island?
Also, what? My people are safe. They'll be off of there or dead by then.
No, they. Well,
No,
what
they're going to be. Yeah,
what are you
they're
predicting?
How long is this going to take?
2050.
Oh no, they'll be fine. They'll be gone they'll be long dead. What?
Why would they be long dead?
My in-laws?
Oh, your in-laws, Christ.
Well,
you
they're
said
old.
your peoples.
My people. Oh no, my dead people.
I was at first. I even your people. I was
All
like,
my family are buried on Staten Island. They're already dead. They don't care.
Actually, they'll resurrected.
Right,
They'll be
yeah.
relifted up. They'll be
The
relocated.
team, it'll be fine. You know, in Jewish, it's good. You know, you just return to the water where you come from. We got to get salted to turn into pastrami anyway, so it doesn't make
Such a great meat.
Yeah.
I love pastrami.
We were researching this actually this week at work because this is what I do.
No, of course, you don't work.
Kosher salt. And I came to the realization after studying the scriptures. Moses was leading us through the desert, and we were hungry.
Right.
We cried unto the Lord, said, Lord, these sandwiches are terrible. We don't know what to do with this, and we don't know how to tell which is a good piece of meat from a bad piece of meat. And God heard our plea. And he called Moses up on the mountain, and he says, Moses. And he says, here I am. And he says, take this down. This is how you make things kosher. Take the meat, beef, you salt the shit out of it, pack it in a barrel for a little while.
Well, we got to transport the meat too, so I mean, that makes sense.
Of course. Take it out, slice it just the right way, put it on the grill, but not for too long. A little bit of coleslaw and Russian. I know you have rye bread. Sandwich. Moses goes, Lord, you got it. Runs down the mountain. All y'all with the golden calf, get that shit out of the way. We've got a deli to open. Open the deli. Boom. Israel. Built on pastrami. Why else would we kosher stuff if it wasn't to make pastrami? We already had roast beef. Roast beef is good. It's not pastrami. I'm just saying. See, this is what Danny doesn't know, but this, if he could have just been a better mensch, he could have, you know. I broke Brian.
And then they go,
You want to talk about Canadian truckers, or do you want to
these
skip that?
all right, here's the thing with these Canadian truckers, all right?
Yeah.
These fucking truckers, I sometimes wonder, are they Canadian?
No.
They're not,
They're
right?
flying Confederate flags.
They're flying Confederate flag. There's nothing to do with it. You've made the... we're too... This is going to happen in...
They're already redirecting the money here.
This is going to happen in Mexico in a different way.
It's happening here.
But I know it's happening here. But again, we are bleeding into these other countries that are next to us. We're bleeding across the border.
Well, we already brought them rock and roll and Big Macs and hip hop. So why shouldn't we also teach them QAnon and Donald Trump?
They should only get the best parts of
But
America.
that's not how that works. We, the Americans, broadcast everything, right?
Yo, you know what I haven't listened to, and I'm going to listen to tonight when we leave out of here, is it As It Happens?
Yes.
I haven't listened to any, and I'm pretty sure they've been talking about this.
Bam, bam,
I
bam, bam,
love that fucking.
They had the best theme song of all public radio. I love As It Happens.
I love that. They even remixed this. They remixed it and it still sounds amazing.
Good on Canada for finally learning how radio works. They've only got radio like about 3 hours ago, so it's pretty good.
I love that
but the
show.
CBC has been covering this. So, like the Canadian trucker convoys, these Freedom Convoys.
Freedom Convoy. What the
Theoretically drove from Vancouver all the way to Ottawa. That's a long trip.
That is a long trip.
That's like from Seattle to like Milwaukee. It's pretty far. It's not all the way to like, the parts of the country that can read, but it's still pretty far. And they blockaded everything.
Coastal elites.
Yeah, and they were really mad about
We don't know. Well, here's the thing. I feel like I've followed the story a decent amount. I don't know what Canadians are mad at because all the truckers are vaccinated.
Right.
So it seems to me
It's
that
a
these
really
truckers,
small number of these truckers that are truckers, and the rest of them are
it
just...
seems like it's like truckers for Tucker.
Yeah, it's a AstroTurf bullshit thing. As it turns out, we know that a lot of the activity on this on the internet and all that is coming from like Bangladesh, which means that it's for hire AstroTurfing. We have here this list of the zip codes where the most of the donations to the Canadian trucker convoys are coming from, which include Leander, Texas. That's 38 donations. Beverly Hills, California.
90210.
Yep, that's 36 donations. Eagle, Idaho, Marietta, Georgia, Roswell, Georgia, Fernandina Beach, Florida, Parker, Colorado, Green Cove Springs, Florida, and Cypress, Texas, and Alpharetta, Georgia. All of these zip codes, which are the dominant zip codes donating to these truckers to their GoFundMe campaign or whatever. It's not a GoFundMe. They got kicked off of GoFundMe. They got onto some sort of Christian right-wing version of GoFundMe. And the MyPillow guy tried to send them 10,000 pillows because I don't know how many people he thinks.
Wait, hold on. You said it's the Christian
version of GoFundMe.
Wait, isn't that just the Donald Trump?
No, there's an
campaign?
actual
Isn't
a thing. It's
what's the name of this?
It's got a Give, Send, Go.
Give, Send, Go.
Yes, Give, Send, Go.
That's gonna be what starts the fucking war.
Well, until they get shut down.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
right.
Somebody's gonna get them. Lindell tried to send him 10,000 pillows. I don't know how much sleeping he thinks these people are doing. Like 10,000 of those MyPillows. They're not very good pillows.
They're not.
And how many people does he think are involved in this?
Where are those pillows manufactured?
In Minnesota. They all got stopped at the border because of the Canadian trucker protest. Which is true. That's absolutely 100% true.
Yo, first of all, isn't this the party about business? Isn't it stopping some odd millions of dollars like a day? Like this one bridge, whatever the bridge, what is it? What's the name of this bridge?
In Windsor. Yeah.
What the fuck? I forgot the name of the bridge. But again, it's millions of dollars a day.
It's the only bridge you can cross where you drive south from the United States into Canada.
There it is.
If you cross the bridge, the Ambassador Bridge. That's
Ambassador Bridge.
From Detroit into Windsor, you actually drive south from Detroit into Windsor.
And here's the thing, too. With the infrastructure problem we have in this fucking country, that shit's about to collapse.
Yeah, it's probably.
And you know what? I do not wish that. But if that shit happens and that bridge fucking
the biggest
collapses,
border crossing we have. Yeah, it would be really catastrophic.
Because we have all these truckers sitting on the bridge?
Well, no.
Or what? No, they've made it across the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge is that bridge is open
now. It's now.
Yeah. Trudeau sent the Mounties.
Oh yeah, because he enforced it for the first time in Canada's history.
They invoked the Emergency Powers Act, which then in the United States, all of those same trucker guys were like, "Oh, the Americans are invoking the Emergency Powers Act," and then everybody was like, "It's not a thing. We don't have that in America."
It's not.
And they were like, "We don't care. They're doing it anyway."
What's the closest to that? Lincoln and suspending fucking habeas corpus,
yes.
maybe? It's the closest thing.
That is the closest thing to that, and that was, in the Civil War.
Civil fucking War.
Which these guys were on the wrong side of.
Yeah, and they're still flying the flag.
They're flying the Confederate flag.
That's
in Canada.
Next week we should talk about.
You know how far north Canada is?
Yeah, my folks was trying to make it there.
Like, the north was the north, and then they got to Minnesota, and they're like, that's not far enough. We're going to north, Canada. Canada is really, like, see, I'm weird for being a curler in America.
Yeah, a little bit.
In Canada, you'd be weird for not being a curler.
I know, yeah.
That's how far north Canada is. You want to talk about other things that are stupid?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Oh, God.
The Catholic Church.
This is insane.
The Catholic Church is very stupid. In this case,
there was Catholic Church. You should despise them.
I know a lot about the Catholic Church.
You should despise them.
Oh, I'm halfway married to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but as I think about it, they're the one. They've
been out to get me for a long time.
Yeah, they're the ones that like. And
they taught all y'all about grinding the bones and all that.
Yeah, they propped up a lot of shit.
I don't have horns.
Take the cap
I know they
off.
think that, yeah.
I just again,
I like that he asked.
I just learned that. I learned that,
That's
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
You want to feel?
No, I don't. That is an invasion. I'm feeling your hair, and I would feel
that's okay.
It's an invasion of privacy that I would never do.
We'll do it off air.
All right.
All right, so the Catholic Church, in the dumbest possible Catholic things ever, there was a priest in Arizona. His name is Father Arango. He was performing various baptisms.
Is that a real baby?
No.
Oh, no, right? Okay.
It's a pretend baby.
If you're watching with us, he's practicing saying the wrong shit.
He got one word wrong in all these baptisms that he's been doing since like 1995, which is he used the word we instead of I. He said, we baptize you in blah, 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 instead of I baptize you in blah, 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 which means that technically, not only are all of those baptisms invalid, but all of the sacraments that all of those baptized people received after the fact are also invalid because they weren't baptized in the first place and therefore ineligible to receive the sacraments. Now,
again, I say this, and you guys people can take me, they're going to hate me for this one. This is why it's evident that God is a man creation.
Yes, obviously this is made up.
It's evident. So, when this type of shit like this happens, it's like, wait, hold on, what?
Dear Catholic Church, you made up these rules. You can also just change these rules.
It's like the Senate. Yeah. Just change it.
You can change your own rules.
Change the rules.
We've never done this before.
He knew.
Well, we could.
Fucked up.
I will tell you about the Catholic Church off the air, but unbelievable. Y'all are just like excommunicating thousands of people for no good reason. And they would be dues-paying members to your, what do you call it? Ponzi scheme.
I was about to say something terrible.
Ponzi, that's the word for it? Ponzi scheme? Religion, sorry. Ponzi scheme. And you're just going to kick them out? Your marriage is invalid because we baptized you.
I love you had a fake baby.
Well, that's how we practice. We practice dunking our fake babies before we dunk the real babies. If you had a super soaker, you could baptize hundreds of people at once.
Super soaker, great invention made by a black person.
It's true. There's a Jerry Springer style brawl outside of in Disney World, where a bunch of drunk people got in a fight over at a steakhouse, of course.
Of course,
because it's just like the last time that we talked about a
doesn't
brawl
change.
And they were mad about who was a worse mother. They were sisters, by the way.
29-31.
And they were naked and slipped in their own vomit.
Hey, CPS.
That's great.
You should no longer be mothers.
While they were waiting, the pair began arguing.
The
older sister called the younger sister a bad mom and slapped her. According to court papers, in return, the younger sister allegedly threatened to punch her.
But didn't.
No, it got worse from there. They started pulling hair and throwing each other. Once separated, both sisters ran at each other, slipped in the younger sister's vomit, then fell into the bushes while still fighting. According to the security guard, the younger sister ran a few feet away and took off her dress, exposing her breast. Shortly after, they began to punch each other again. Congratulations,
Police
Florida.
from Orlando County Sheriff Office arrived around 12:40 a.m. to find the younger sister screaming and crying near Cirque du Soleil's steps from the watermelon and mango parking lots. What?
Yes. That word salad makes sense in Florida.
What?
Florida.
And that nigga who?
Yep. right, you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show. We want to say thanks to our radio partners, Stitcher, Google, Joe Rogan, various Russian spy broadcasts, all those other folks.
Shortwave.
Yep, NOTN for keeping us on for another week. Thanks to our digital media oxtail, Key Wayne, Baltimore. Thanks to our home.
I couldn't even get it out.
On the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks as always to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Sarah Palin in court. All right, where can they find you on the social medias, Tez?
You can find me on Twitter at DC Cortez. You can find me on Instagram at Ketchum
All right, you can find me in the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Rip Chip Chat. And you can find us, of course, every Thursday night here on Rip Radio Network at 9:30. I'm Chip. That's Tez. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
And then they go, woo!